Looks like the chat's working. That's great. So very happy about that. All right, so pushing through 75 on that pullback. So let's see what happens now. Pulling back a little bit now. So just kind of chopping around 70, 75 area. So the chat's working. All right, everybody. So a couple questions on how we use our directional daily bias, right? So if you've watched us for any amount of time now, um, pre-market prep, post-market, pre-market prep, post-market review, we go over our individual tools, basically market trend model, buyers versus sellers, three components, three pillars, sentiment, structure, and trend. We look at what the structure is. Is it call or put dominated? Obviously, it's call dominated. Our not necessarily bias, but our anticipation would be that the market's going to move higher. Out of the money call speculation is what drives the market. Usually 20, 30 net delta out of the money calls or puts are what most market participants buy. They rarely buy in the money at the money. And then, we're usually, if they reach 50, 60 delta intraday, there's usually some profit taking. So sentiment structure and then sentiment obviously is call versus put dominated, buyers versus sellers. So we kind of lay that out. We had key gamma delta levels this morning. If you watched our pre-market prep, 5650 was an extremely important level. That is was a short call strike with negative gamma, but we were above that at the open. And then 56, 70, 75, we were gapping into in the money put dominated area overhead. So most likely we're going to see some profit taking right at the open, which we got, and then the pullback to the 50 level, opening print, and then we push back off of that level, and now we're kind of struggling with the 70-75 area. Anticipation is if we continue to see our intraday tools producing kind of a directional look, that we would probably grind up to 5700. So I'll pull up our vol M command, and we can look at it real quick. So the live stream's delayed a little bit, so I'll talk about the volm command here. So basically what the volm command is for game edge is you're looking at the mass of volume that is being transacted on an options basis by market participants. So obviously, if you want the market to go up, if you're bullish, you want the massive volume to be transacting higher towards the upside. If you're bearish, you want to be transacting to the downside. So the green line here that has all the dots on it, that's the call centroid. And the red line is the put centroid. So again, if out of the money calls are transacting higher, then this green line would be moving higher. And then if the puts are transacting under price and coming up under price, that's anticipation that the most likely that the puts are closing. So we would get two slopes to the upside. It's only 10:30 now, so this is kind of adjusting itself to what's going on. But you can already see where the mass of market participants are transacting at 5,700, right? That line there of the call centroid is really just stuck right on that 5,700. So if you want or are looking for the market to move higher, you would need this green line to start transacting above the 5,700. That would indicate that out of the money, the mass of speculation of market participants is speculating out of the money and higher in price. If you were looking for the market to move to the downside, then obviously this green line would most likely start transacting to the downside. This put centroid, we measure a slope of it. That slope would actually start getting more and more negative. So that would start moving to the downside. And then these linear fit lines would continue in a downward sloping type fashion, right? So these linear fit lines are just saying, hey, if we continue on this trajectory, market participants continuing transacting this direction, that this is maybe where we end the day. And obviously you can see the put centroid is way up in the air at 60.72 and the call centroid's 56.44, right? So these will adjust themselves as we get more and more data. Usually around 11, 12 o'clock, we have kind of an adjustment of where we can get in a directional bias. But already this morning, you can see that we really don't have that much out of the money call speculation above 5,700. So it may be difficult to move up to 5,700 and above 5,700 for now, right? So that's what we'll continue to watch. So these are 5-minute slices. The other nice tool that we have is a slope look at it as well as volume. Let me pull those up for you guys. All right, so this is the slope chart. All right, so this is the call centroid slope. And this is the put centroid slope. These are the numbers are obviously slope. Then we also measure rate of change. Okay, so the main thing here is, let me, hold on one second. Let me shoot this. So the main thing is the call centroid is going from extremely negative, well, not extremely negative, but slightly negative, to more positive, right? So this is, and then we start dropping back down. So as this bar chart rises up towards 0, that pulls the slope of the call centroid to the upside. So if we want to see price appreciation significantly for today, then you want to see this bar chart cross above 0 and start getting more positive and moving this direction. Conversely, you'd want to see the put slope becoming less and less negative, right? So less and less negative would basically bring this line continuing up that direction, right? And if the call centroid gets less and less negative, you can see it's in a negative slope. Obviously, that's going to bring that call centroid line up, and that's going to move it up in this direction, right? And so you're going to get a, kind of an up fashion like that. And you kind of change those to parallel lines. And once those change to parallel lines, and that gives us the indication that most likely it's going to be a trend day to the upside. If these continue to just maintain crossed, depending on what the slopes are, that usually gives us a consolidation state. And if they're both negative and moving down, that actually gives us a down or possible trend down day state. So that's why we look at these intraday volume of the participants, and we kind of see how they're transacting, and that kind of gives us an idea of what is occurring. Then obviously we overlay that with our key gamma delta levels that are in our web app. So let me pull that up real quick for everybody. So here's our web app, and obviously I'll turn on 0DT exposure here. So you can see now on SPXP 0DT exposure, or 0DT expiry, we're still call dominated, but you see where we're at, right? So this is a transition area box that we've drawn. This is actually GEX transition. You see 5650, extremely important. Those are that short strike we just discussed. And then now we're in the middle of no man's land, 5650 to 5700. Dampening price, 5660 on a pullback, but we have these in the money puts just above us at 5690, 5695. You see, obviously, they're not exerting much negative GEX or positive GEX at the moment. Really, we're kind of concentrated here. And if you look at this structure, it's actually kind of a bell-shaped curve, right? I mean, you look how this kind of comes out, and this is our bell-shaped curve. So we're just within the overall transition. So this is a very choppy area at the moment, right? So probably difficult to trade, extremely difficult to trade at the moment. If we're in this overall area, trap between 5650, 5700. Directionally wise, there's really no direction at the moment. So unless we break above 5700, then you might have an opportunity to trade to the upside up towards 5735, 5740, 5750, or to the downside, but we're still in the money call dominated, so very dampened to the downside. So really not anticipating much weakness. Any pullback to 5650, or if you're a short-term scalper, gives you an opportunity to get involved, possibly for a quick trade back to the upside. But again, we're just stuck within the overall transition area. And we talk about that multiple times here at Gamma Edge. Transition area is kind of a no-go, no-trade area unless you're a very quick scalper. But yeah, so we really just don't have a defined edge or trade at the moment unless we cross 5700 or 5650. This short strike may be a pinning area into the close. We're going to kind of be watching that, and we may retest that area multiple times today. So we're back under 5670, 5675, 5680 that we just talked about. So yeah, we may pull back to 5650 again, and we may even test that opening print again. So again, referencing that vol M command, we've got another update here. I'll show you guys and gals. So another update on the vol M command. The centroids, obviously, you see a little bit more negative slope in the call centroid, and also indicating that there's really not much out of the money call speculation above 5700. So that's why we can't move to the upside. And then you see these puts that actually transacted below the centroid, right? So a decent amount of volume came in on the puts. So most likely it's out of the money put speculation. 5700's resistance, right? So where do most market participants short? They short at an area overhead for a small risk reward, even though the bias is not to the downside at the moment. But if you're a scalper, most likely out of the money speculation, you see it's below that 5600. That's a mass transactions of out of the money puts. Those are most likely a 20 delta, probably out of the money put speculation. So anyway, hope that helps. Let me know. Be happy to start doing these intraday. I think this is a good intraday discussion. I like to get feedback from people that are watching. I didn't post this second one on X just because I just was testing everything out. Wanted to see how clear it looked, if I was clear coming through and talking. So give me your feedback, post in the chat. We only have like 8 or 10 people on here. But this is something we'd like to do moving forward, intraday, just intraday discussion for how to use the tools here at Gamma Edge, how we execute trades. One of our members was long on the opening range this morning retest. I think he moved up, probably took some profit into that 70-75 area. So we'll kind of see how it looks here in just a minute. So anyway, yeah, give me your feedback. Let me know. How everything how everything looks, if the audio sounds clear, what you'd like to see more of. So, yep, appreciate it, everybody. Great, thanks, Alexander. Good. Yeah, so yeah. Yeah, so just we continue to chop around that 56, 70, 75 area. So quick trades, if we get above a high of 80, I'd anticipate we test 5,700. Obviously, we want to see out of the money speculation come in via our vol command. So I'll give you another quick update on that. So let me pull this up too here. So again, this is kind of what we talked about on the slope, right, of the centroid. So hold on. Yeah, Davian, check out our newsletter every weekend. It goes through basically a significant amount of option structure stuff and what we do here at Game Edge. We also have a free options course, and we have what we call our Game Edge framework. It's a complete education course. It's all for free. Make sure you sign up and check it out. Check us out on X. Everything's there. But yeah, you could go through that. And even if you're not an options trader, I think it's a good overall education view. So anyway, back to my vol M slope. So you see how we went from negative zero point 0.9 and now we're moving up towards negative zero point 0.2. So obviously that means that the call slope is moving to the upside. So that's out of the money call speculation. And the put slope is actually dropping to the downside, or it's moving up but getting less negative, right? So that means out of the money put speculation is not coming in full force either. So anticipation is, if this continues on this trajectory and this call centroid starts crossing above zero, anticipation is that we would actually move higher for the day, right? And we watch this slice over slice. It's basically telling us what market participants are doing. So anyway, hope that helps. But yeah. Looks like we're just chopping around 70, 75. So
Yeah, kind of make her want to see it move higher, obviously, but we'll see. Market trend model is pretty dead. Everything's pretty dead, to be honest with you.
yeah, volume looks pretty flat.
I'm trying to push higher a little bit.
Yeah, oops. Yeah, I could see us chopping around 70, 75 out of the money call speculation. Slope's coming up slightly, but not a lot. So if we get through 80, obviously we push towards 5,700, but volume dried up very rapidly into that kind of overhead area. So
Never short a dull market, that's what they say.
that is true.